I finished uni last month, and that was a conclusion to an epic final year at uni. During my final year, I did some crazy things, and this is one of them. So I was watching this other Nico Milano video where he campaigned for London mayor, and that inspired me to campaign for SRC presidency at the biggest university in Zim. And I wanted to do this as an independent candidate as well. So as I was doing this, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do this as an independent candidate, state the things that I stand for, and then push those things at uni level and then see how it goes. And also during the process, have fun. And so as soon as I decided that this is what I was gonna do, I started working on the announcement video. So I worked on the announcement video and then I posted it. Yeah, that was a good take. Nice one, fam. Wait, what? You're still filming? And then after posting it, that was around May. As soon as the semester started in July, as soon as the semester started in July, I started using my pocket money to buy food for people.
That you want, be it from Creamy Inn, be it from Chicken Inn or Beggars Inn, anyway. So, what do you guys want? Creamy Inn. All right. Hey, what's up? How are you doing? Okay.
This was because no one on campus knew me, but then this was because really I think about that money sometimes even now. I'm like, But yeah, I started buying food for people, and then some people started knowing me on campus, like, that's that guy. But then, and then after that, I started going into lectures, showing my campaign material, showing the campaign announcement video. But yeah, and then as I was doing this, in September, we were told that we can't campaign on campus as individuals. Because, well, generally at national level, people had elections in August, like national elections. And so the atmosphere in the country was tense, with the opposition saying it was rigged and things like that. And so generally the atmosphere was tense. And so that became a big disappointment for us, because as an independent candidate, you want to have the time to campaign, to talk to people and things like that. So not being aligned to a union and then being told that you can't campaign on campus was a big blow. And so we were discouraged, and so now I was thinking of even quitting the whole campaign because it didn't make sense, because then I had to just stand and then appear on the ballot paper later. And so as I was thinking of doing this, my girlfriend came up with this video.
I was telling Jeremy about the encouragement of girl empowerment, the support of entrepreneurial students, and the convenient and effective transport systems at my university and most universities here. And ever since then, he has been determined to bring these and many more to the University of Zimbabwe. If you support these ideas and want more, if you want broader options in your uni life for your future, vote for a candidate who cares about students' rights, students' affairs, and students' life. Vote for you, vote for Jeremy.
And now we reject, and she came with the motto, vote for you, vote for Jeremy. And then that's what became the motto. And then people started joining in on the bandwagon. My friends started coming up with videos. They started posting.
Better service delivery,
Better
vote
service
for Jeremy.
delivery, vote for
Then now we're now encouraged again. We're like, well, we need to still strategize. We need to do other things. And that's when we came with a plan. Like, how can we campaign without looking like we are campaigning? How can we ensure that everyone on campus knows me when I've been an introvert all the other 4 years that I've been on campus? And so we came up with the jam tree stand. Yeah, and I was wearing this hoodie actually. So yeah, we were like, we need to make Zim celebs every Zim celebs out there and every UZ celebs post us. And so we went to the geometry and then we did that proposal. I proposed to an acquaintance of mine, and then she said no, of course, because that was the plan. And then after doing that, people want to be chatty about things concerning relationships in Zim, and so that became the talk of the town. Every Zim celebs was posting it, everyone on campus was talking about it, and so people started knowing about me on campus, and that was a good thing. And then during the second week of October, we were now telling people what we really stand for. We were going, and then we submitted the whole presidential applications. And as we were submitting this, to everyone's shock, one of the favorite people on the ballot, like Tendai Mshai, who was going for Zikosu, was dropped by Zikosu. That was a big shock because Zikosu had been pushing him all semester, and then now he was dropped. And then they had a new candidate in Lodwin, and so he wasn't a strong candidate because he was new to the platform, and also because now Zikosu was showing confusion in a way. And then another big shock was that other Zinasu members were disqualified from the election. Like Benjamin Watata could not campaign, and that was because he had allegedly he had been in the strikes for Skal and things like that, and so he was dropped from the election. And this election in particular had 12 candidates, and this was the biggest number of candidates who submitted applications for the presidential election. And so cutting from there to get to 3. So now it was just me, Mushai and Lodwin. Other people had been eliminated from the campaign because of the striking for Benjamin Watadze, because having failed some courses previously, that would result in an elimination as well, and other reasons. And so at this very point, I became a favorite for the campaign, because now it was like, well, there were 3 candidates. There's me, there's Mushai, who's an ex-Zikosu, and then there's Lodwin, who's the new Zikosu presidential candidate. And so now this presented an opportunity for me, because everyone from Zinasu now wanted to spite Zikosu by voting for me. And the Zikosu members as well would split votes between the 2 people, and which I didn't really recognize as registered as an independent candidate, since he had been pushing Zikosu throughout the whole semester. And this part felt like a movie, honestly, because it was unbelievable, because it was at this point that I really realized that this election really meant a lot to people, because now Zikosu came to me with $2,000 as cash, and then they were like, we are giving you this money if you drop the election now. And $2,000 is honestly a lot of money, because right now I'm broke. Like, I literally don't have any money in my pocket. And so having 2,000 meant a lot, but then it also meant that I would have to betray the people who had supported me throughout the whole campaign. So I ended up rejecting that. And that was tough. That was tough, honestly, but then I had to. And then because I still needed to get to the ballot paper, I needed to still campaign. I needed to have the movement with the people, with what we stood up for, and everything else that we supported each other throughout the other 4 months. And so soon after that, Zinaso approached me again, and then they came with the offer that I can be their presidential candidate, and then they would give me the presidential seat in their union. And this would be a win-win situation, because then Zinas would have a candidate who won the election during 2024, and then I would also have a seat. But then the problem now, the tricky part was, I would then end up being a Zinasu puppet. Even though I'm behind a structured organization that would help me through the election, I would end up being a puppet, and I would end up betraying everyone who literally stood up with us, who literally stood up for us during the whole campaign. We had given us unwavered support. So I was like, this was hard, but then I had to say no, because everyone who had been backing me up until this point wanted an independent candidate, someone who was not a puppet of any organization whatsoever. So even though it was hard, I ended up choosing to not be a part of ZINASU. And this was tricky now, because to a certain extent it seemed like I put a nail on the whole campaign, that I'm setting myself up for failure. But then this was what we stood for. This was why we decided to campaign in the first place. And so soon after this, we were told that we are not allowed to campaign. We were given 5 pages of rules on campus of why we can campaign. It was ridiculous, man. It was like we just had to go to the ballot and have elections. But then other independent candidates were arrested and they were disqualified later on for campaigning in hostels and things like that. So we had to deal with rules. But then I thought to myself, if we are going to get to the campaign and date without having the fun in between, as Nico did, then the whole campaign didn't make sense. And so we started going to the hostels. We started getting lit, and yeah, that's me on the pool table. But yeah, started having fun. We made sure that we met with the people on the ground. We also printed flyers, and then we were distributing this. And the MVPs for distributing flyers were Kunta, Sky, JT, Grant, and Ray. These 5 people made such a big movement on campus that other parties wanted to started coming back with the offers like, guys, take this much money, we can raise it. They tried to buy us out of the election, and that only fueled us more. Then we only wanted the election more. On the election day, everything was looking good. We're talking to people, the support was coming. Everyone who saw me was telling me that they were going to support. But then unfortunately, we were not allowed to film on the day, and so we couldn't really film anything. And however, tragically, the only day that we have of the final day is this video of our of the people who were supposed to count our votes, our representatives being chased away from the room where they're supposed to verify the votes. And it just sucks, because the only day that we were supposed to check the videos, I don't even know how to say this, but this was the only time that I ended up regretting not joining ZINASU, because being an independent candidate meant we didn't have the support from structures to count our own votes. We were not allowed from the rooms. We couldn't follow the democratic processes of doing so, and so that was tough on our part, and that sucked so much. And that's what it ended up being. We literally went back to the results knowing that we couldn't count the votes that we were supposed to count, and we were rigged in this election. But then we started this election as we just wanted it to be a movement. We wanted to have fun with people. We wanted to enjoy it with other people. And then it ended up hurting so much, because we were this close to winning the election, and then now everything was just shattered. We couldn't do anything, and it just hurt like hell. And later on that evening, the results were announced, and as we already knew, because we couldn't follow the democratic processes of being there as our results were counted, we lost the election. But then now reflecting back to it, I really smile and I'm really happy about it, because then we have a legendary story to talk about, and I got the proof in person that I, as an individual, if I put my mind to it and talk to other people, like-minded people, then we can do something that's really revolutionary. And so yeah, that was epic. That was a great campaign and I really enjoyed it. And thank you to everyone who supported this movement. Thank you so much, and yeah, peace.